Hi, and what we're going to talk to today about is plant-based protein. So this is really good if you're thinking about going a bit more plant-based, if you're vegetarian or if you're vegan. So what we'll kind of cover today is micronutrients and then plant-based protein sources, and give you a kind of an insight to why protein and micronutrients are so important. So starting with the micronutrients. So because like the plant-based, especially vegan diet kind of excludes a lot of foods, then it's important to make sure that you're getting all the essential micronutrients, such as vitamins and minerals. So these are some of the most important that sometimes aren't available in the diet. Iron and B12 being very important, and I have red blood cells here before beside them, just because both can be involved in a different form of anemia. Meaning like you can be very fatigued and lack of oxygen around the blood. So um, iron and B12 most oftentimes can require supplementation. Like if this sounds like you, then it would definitely be good to consult with a doctor just around this if you feel like that you have symptoms of fatigue and you're following a plant-based diet for a while now. So then the other side of it is calcium. Calcium is very important in the longer term just for bone health, and that is especially important in females around like menopause. Bone health can decline, and it's very hard to come back from that. So it's very important now to include things like fortified milks. And what I'd say when you're following a plant-based diet is not to skip out on the branded milks, like the Alpros, because they do fortify a lot of their products, and that's why they can be a little more expensive. If you're going for cheaper products, then they mightn't have that fortification, and fortification essentially means putting nutrients into to like milks and stuff like that. So I know for sure the Alpro has B12 in it as well. So and calcium. So with the omega threes, they're a sort of healthy fat, and they can be low in the plant based diet, but you mightn't necessarily need supplementation with them. You can have things like healthy oils, nuts, seeds, and avocados. So making the most of those will give you the omega threes. Some kind of honorable mentions are vitamin D, which is very low in like winters anyway. So it's important to supplement in winter with vitamin D anyway. Folic acid, especially around like pregnancy in females, if you're like the folic acid is very important there. Selenium, zinc, and iodine also. But a lot of them can be found in the fortified products. So just again, the fortification is very important from a micronutrient perspective. So then kind of moving on to the protein sources. So these are a lot of the kind of vegan based protein sources. Like yes, you can have them as a vegetarian too. My kind of tips around like being vegetarian is if you're eating things like dairy, fish, or like eggs still, then really kind of utilizing them in the diet. Like they're going to be really important complete protein sources. If those are totally out of your diet and you're going vegan, then it's about looking at these kind of options here. So generally, like around the gym goal, you might look into supplementation with the vegan proteins. I've worked with vegans before, and that really kind of helps in terms of reaching protein targets and recovery targets for the gym. It can be very hard to meet protein requirements through eating plant-based foods, just because they tend to be low in calories, high in fiber, and that causes bloating if you're eating too much of them. So the reason we call all these kind of incomplete proteins is, as you can see down the bottom, there is 9 circles. And I am basically using these as amino acids. And when protein is broken down in the body, it's converted to amino acids just to be absorbed. So like with plant-based, with meat proteins and animal proteins, they contain all these 9 amino acids. So the dark blue, the purple, and the orange, your chicken breast would have all of those. With plant-based proteins, if we take quinoa for example, that might only have a few essential amino acids. So if we take, for example, the quinoa, we say that it has the three dark blue. If you're getting just quinoa throughout the day and there's no variety, then you're missing out on six essential amino acids there. So what we want to do is create a little bit of variety by maybe mixing the quinoa with chickpeas and having beans then too. And then you might get a different amino acid profile and reach the nine essential ones for the day. So variety is very important, and choosing a variety of protein sources from here is definitely a nutritional goal you should aim towards. If you see ones that you haven't tried before, then definitely try and include those. But I would look at this slide and maybe take down a few options that you're open to trying, and then mixing them in with your day, so you're hitting protein targets and also the amino acids. So my kind of main tips around it is just, again, like, variety is the main thing when it comes to like vegan and vegetarian diets. You need to have a variety of plant-based sources. If you're eating similar kind of throughout the day, it just increases risk of not getting enough and adequate protein, and also like not getting enough micronutrient diversity. So if you're thinking about doing this and you're like, oh, I want to go vegetarian, I want to go vegan, what I'd say is slowly integrate it into your day. Like, you don't have to go completely cold turkey. You could start with dinner if that's something you wanted to do, and have like a vegetarian or vegan dinner and see how that goes. If you like it, then like you can push on even more, and then just ensure that you get adequate advice around supplementation and fortified foods. A lot of, especially like the B12 deficiency, doesn't show up for later life, and by then it could be too late. So like the adverse effects from that, and even the calcium too with bone health, it's very hard to come back from that, and they're kind of silent, and they go on for a long period of time. The iron deficiency will show a lot sooner, but it's just important to ensure that you're doing it right if you're not sure at all. So yeah, that's my tips. And if you want any kind of advice around vegetarian or vegan diets, or if you're thinking about going plant-based, then definitely do reach out. I'm here to help.